So I would say that it was spirit-led. I believe that I'm called to do this work. Again, I ran in 19 after the great late Emma Darnell passed away. The seat was open again. There's no incumbent in this seat. And so my boys are older. I got the blessing from my family and the support like I had the first time and doing it again. Because I believe good people need to be in elected office. And I believe good people can win. Call me an optimist, but why not? Why not give it another shot at being a part of solutions and being a voice for the voiceless? And so that's what I'm called to do, and that's why I'm doing it. It takes a lot of grit to run a grassroots campaign, and it takes a ton of courage. And so luckily I have both.
For city managers and other leaders within the city.
Hey, family, welcome to the Black Man's Roundtable podcast and another episode of our 2026 elections series special. Rodney, how's it going, brother?
Yo, man, I'm in the land of the living. I'm Brother Doug Brown. I'm doing great.
Rodney, man, you know I'm out here scratching and surviving. But look, I'm flipping some tables out here. I know you're flipping tables on your... Yes, sir, brother. That's what we do on the Black Man's Roundtable. We flip tables out here. But look, Rodney, today, man, we have a very special guest on the podcast and a powerful voice in local leadership. Someone stepping up to shape the future, basically, of Fulton County. We're talking about economic opportunity. We're talking about health care, public safety, housing, and making sure our young people have real pathways forward. Please welcome Fulton County Commission candidate, Sojourner Marable Grimmett. How's it going, Sojourner?
Good. Hello. Thank you, Rodney.
Welcome.
Rodney, for having me on the Black Man's Roundtable. I really, really appreciate it. Excited to be here.
Oh,
Absolutely,
it
is a pleasure to have you, and Rodney, thanks for your effort, in bringing on such a candidate that's going to make such a difference in South Fulton, brother. I definitely appreciate that, and I'm sure the audience is going to appreciate it as well as they get to know this young lady.
Yes.
And again, Sojourner, welcome to the round table. Hey, let's start. We're going to get right into this thing. We know that, look, you're busy. You're out there knocking doors and shaking hands and kissing babies and all the things that you have to do as a candidate. We know how hard it is, so we're not going to hold you very long. And but again, welcome to the round table. So let's start here. Tell the people who you are beyond the title, and what shaped your journey to this moment.
I appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for having me on the show. Well, my name is Sojourner, of course, named after Sojourner Truth. My father is the late Dr. Manning Marable. He taught Black history for over 35 years. And my mom is a scientist and a community advocate and activist. Her name's Hazel Ann Harris. And so I come from two wonderful people. I have lived in Fulton County for nearly 30 years now. My father being a professor, we've lived all over the country, but I had one Black teacher growing up, K through 12.
Wow.
And I said, Dad, where are the Black folks? We were in Boulder, Colorado in high school. And my dad said, kiddo, let's go to Atlanta. So junior year, my dad and I took a college visit to Atlanta. We visited Spelman, Morris Brown, Clark Atlanta, and I fell in love with CAU. And so that's a little bit about my history. I met the love of my life when I was 18 at Clark Atlanta, and we've been married for over 20 years. We have two sons. My husband's name is Roland. Our oldest son is Roland, and he is a freshman at Tuskegee University, O-line, right tackle, so watch out.
Uh-oh.
And our youngest son, Joshua, he is 16, and he is a sophomore at Westlake, and he plays football and also baseball. So great. I absolutely adore my children. They are everything to me. And so what brought me to this seat is I ran for office in 2019. I've always been passionate, and I found my calling early on in life, and it is to serve the underserved. And that came from really my mom, who grew up in rural Georgia, in Monroe, Georgia.
Oh.
My mom did not have indoor plumbing until she was in 9th grade when
Oh.
she and her family moved into Section 8 housing. I know this is long-winded.
No,
No,
Is
no.
it good? Okay, cool.
It's
Just
your
a little
opportunity.
bit, little bit
please
of background.
take us on the journey, dear.
Okay. Okay. And so, my mom, she came off of a dirt road, and then just made so much of herself. And so based on her background, we've always served underserved communities. Since I was very little, we couldn't park in our garage because it was full of items that were given to us
Wow.
to give away. And so I've continued that work in my professional career, working in higher education after grad school at Penn State, and working in affordable senior housing, working in healthcare, and also working in local government as well. So that's just a little bit about me. I have a twin brother and an older sister, so those are fun facts.
All right, all
Great,
right.
great. Well, look, before we have Rodney to kick off the official first conversation piece, I want to kind of follow up a little bit and ask you, what made you say now is the time to run for Fulton County Commission?
So I would say that it was spirit-led. I believe that I'm called to do this work. Again, I ran in 2019 after the great late Emma Darnell passed away. And, the seat was open again. There's no incumbent in this seat. And so my boys are older. I got the blessing from my family and the support like I had the first time and doing it again because I believe good people need to be in elected office. And I believe
Yes.
good people can win. Call me an optimist, but why not? Why not give it another shot at being a part of solutions and being a voice for the voiceless? And so that's what I'm called to do, and that's why I'm doing it. It takes a lot of grit to run a grassroots campaign,
Yes.
and it takes a ton of courage. And so luckily I have both.
Great. You absolutely do. So, we always say on this show, local politics hits different because it touches you every single day. And also we also say all politics is local because it's so true. So let's dig into the issues and that makes that matter the most. So Rodney, let's begin with your first issue, brother.
Yes. County government. What has your experience been in dealing with county government through your career?
That's a great question. I really appreciate it. I mentioned earlier that I worked in local government. So I was the director of constituent services for former Chairman John Eves. And so being the director of constituent services, it's public affairs, it's public relations type work. And you're listening to constituents' concerns and you're solving their problems. And so I love being out in the community. I am very much a grassroots, hands-on servant leader. And so that has been my experience with local government. It's been a good one. I worked for Chairman John Eves for a number of years. And then I also worked in public relations at the county as well. So that's putting on big events, small events, writing press releases, doing social media, so marketing and comms as well.
Gotcha. So you didn't just jump into this by accident. You had your eye on this when it became open, I take it.
I did. And also filling in for the chairman at different events, right? I was also, fun fact, I was a mom blogger for 10 years. And that led me into doing ghost writing and ghost tweeting for other elected officials.
Ooh,
wow.
So that was
interesting.
fun.
Okay.
So I did that. That was my side hustle for a number of years.
Gotcha.
And so
Excellent.
fun. I was Black men on social media as their ghostwriter in Twitter.
Nice. So you know about the brothers, huh?
I know
All right,
about
Rodney.
the brothers.
She been on the inside. Oh, okay.
On the inside.
All right.
She know how the brothers. She know how
Yeah.
66%. She
I know
knows how
how y'all
66% of this audience think already. So that's a
Exactly.
good thing. That's a good thing.
Well, she
That's a
got two
good thing.
boys and a husband. I know she
I
knows
And a
the deal.
husband. Yep. Yep.
And to top it off, I have a twin brother. So yes.
Exactly. Yes. He's
There
been
you
around
go.
a while, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me, what's been the reaction to your running this time from the community?
That is such a nice question. I have gotten so much love from people, from folks who I know and people who I don't know. I kicked off this campaign in May of last year. I knew that I needed a year to run this race.
Right.
I knew that it was going to be an expensive race. And, name recognition is so important when you're running for elected office and when you're a grassroots organizer,
Right.
especially when you're running against folks who've been in elected office
Right.
or may have more name recognition than you do. And
Like a reality star or something like that?
or something like that,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So I kicked off this campaign and it has been wonderful. I've been embraced by so many people, and so I am extremely grateful. Of course, there are lows to campaigns as well,
Uh-huh.
but there have been more highs than lows. I'm a hugger, so I've hugged a lot of people
Uh-huh.
throughout my time, and I'm still doing it through early voting as well.
Okay. Cool. Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna jump into the platform. Let's talk about your platform.
Sure.
And as I hit this first issue, tell us what your experience has been and why this is an important issue to you, and what experience do you have that would permit you to tackle these issues, okay?
Hmm.
The first one is economic development and workforce development. There are resources in the county that impact economic development and workforce development. Tell me what your role is and how you see influencing those policies.
And so I think it's important, we're talking about what we're talking about city of South Fulton. We're talking about Southwest Atlanta. If you think and look at the map of District 5, it consists of 8 cities. So everything from Southwest Atlanta all the way down to Chattahoochee Hills. And our cities are growing and
Mm-hmm.
people want to work, play, and live in our cities. And
Mm,
so I think it is important that we focus on economic growth and development and that we focus on smart growth. I
uh-huh.
have a wonderful rapport with many of the elected officials. And so at the
Mm-hmm.
county level, I would love to help strengthen relationships so we can keep jobs and grow jobs here in South Fulton County.
Mm. Well, my experience being in the private sector, uh, and watching what's been happening over the years, sometimes the county economic development department will grant waivers
Mhm.
for taxes, etc., and override the local government in terms of approving those or not coordinating with local government to approve those. Um, and loans, there's been questions about the development authority financing projects in our region. Um, how do you see that as being an issue for you under the economic development and workforce development platform?
Well, having worked at the county, I have a good rapport with staff. I've realized that you have a county manager, right, that manages 40 departments at the county. I also have a good rapport with him. So any issues that are bubbling up, I'm happy to address on behalf of constituents. And so if you're finding that that's an area that we need to strengthen or publicize more so people know what's going on in that department, then I'm happy to be the middle person to do that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate
Hmm.
that. So it seems like your experience having been in the county, you've developed some relationships, but you also have a good ear for the constituents that might bring
Hmm.
concerns to you. I appreciate that. Rodney, you tackle the next one.
Yes, sir. I'm going to talk about let's talk healthcare.
Sure.
Too many of our communities are dealing with hospital closures, long ER wait times, and limited mental health resources.
Hmm.
What's your plan to improve healthcare access across Fulton County?
Thank you for that question. I mentioned earlier that my background is also in healthcare. I worked at Peach
Yes.
State Health Plan for a number of years and served as their vice president of marketing, communications, and community outreach and engagement. And so I have relationships with different health care systems as well. I was so excited as a former Grady ambassador to see that Grady is opening a hospital. They started off as just a small emergency department, one building, but it will be built out with a lot of money behind it, right? Millions, if not millions of dollars. It may even be around 300 million. It's a lot of money, and it's important because we are in a healthcare desert here. While we will have one hospital that will be eventually built out, it may take 5 years. We still need to look at the gap in healthcare in all of the cities that are in South Fulton County. I rattled them off earlier, but we've got to look at hospital closures and where we can open other hospitals and partner with other partners that provide healthcare.
Kind of a follow-up to that is emergency service can be, of course, the difference between life and death. How do we make sure response times and care are equitable, especially in the underserved areas you just kind of spoke on?
So it's thank you for mentioning that. That's super important. We don't
Yes.
want folks to lose their lives. Recently, I know not too long ago, a teenager lost her life because the ambulance didn't come on time. This was a couple years ago, if not less than that ago. And so it's having this hospital will be important, but also stationing different ambulances around the county is important. So if we need to pour more money in that, then that's what we need to do, because no one should lose their life because an ambulance hasn't gotten to them on time.
Yes, and I'm actually glad you mentioned ambulances, and
Hmm.
because guess what, people, guess who invented ambulances? We did,
Black
and it
folks.
was black folks, and it was
Yes, sir.
because of an outpour of not having access, and so
Hmm.
so I'm so glad that you mentioned that. But anyway, for those roundtable followers, you know what I'm gonna tell you: look it up. Look
There
it
you
up.
go.
That's
But look,
good.
I do have one more follow up before I switch back over to Rodney for his topic, and that is something that we talk about a lot, Sojourner, on this platform. Have been talking about it almost since the first year of this platform, some 4 years ago or so, and that is mental health. Mental
Mm.
health is a big conversation right now,
Hmm.
especially for Black men.
Yes.
As you know, what role should the county play in expanding those services, mental health services?
Thank you for bringing that up. I think
Yes, ma'am.
about also teenagers, Black, brown, poor folks who are dealing with mental
Hmm.
health and crisis and not knowing where to go. And so
Right.
it all deals with funding, right? When you have someone on the board of commissioners that cares deeply about people like I do, and making sure that they have the services that they need to thrive, well, then we need to pour into those services
Hmm.
and make sure that people are aware of those services. So that's what I'm finding and hearing is the other issue is folks aren't aware of all of the services that are offered at the county. Again, there are 40 departments at the county. Behavioral health, mental health are services that are offered, but we need to look into expanding those services um, dollar wise, right? Funding those and then also highlighting them as well. I don't know if we're going to talk about the jail, but you have a large percentage of folks who are at Fulton County Jail who are dealing with mental health
Yes.
issues. And so rather than being locked up in the jail, they need to be diverted to the diversion center, which is underutilized right now, that the county also manages.
Our jails and prisons have basically become, huge mental health facilities, and that's really a shame. Rodney, back to you, sir.
That was a great segue. Great segue.
Thank you.
Want to talk a little bit about public safety, which would be the county sheriff's department. The only police department we have is in the Fulton Industrial
Hmm.
Boulevard Airport, Charlie Brown Airport area, and then of course, any county facilities that would have to be protected. So, can we talk about a little bit about public safety and then criminal justice reform? How do you fit onto those, and how do you see you playing a role at the county level in terms of policy?
I see myself as the people's commissioner. Right. My background is also a little bit in ethnography at the graduate level. My thesis was on the
Mm,
Cincinnati uprising
mm,
that happened in early 2000, in which 15 Black men were killed by police officers within a 5-year period.
mhm,
And so I lived and worked and studied in Cincinnati in a community called Over the Rhine.
mhm,
So I would do that very same thing. And that's what I've
mm,
been doing while I've been running for elected office is
mhm,
listening to the voices from the community and the needs that they have and how I can support them. So what happens when you go on the ground and you listen is the common themes bubble up and
mm,
then you know what to address.
mhm,
In this situation, I'm focused on our youth. When you talk about criminal justice, we just recently had what they're calling takeovers, teenage takeovers.
Teenage takeovers.
Malls and areas, yeah.
Right. And so our teenagers, they need things to do.
Right.
I realize that things are costly, right? Activities cost
Yes.
money.
Yes.
And so we need to pour more into our youth programs. We have a wonderful Fulton County Youth Commission program. We should look into expanding that program, but also bringing back the My Brother's Keeper program that we had while I was at the county working under Chairman John Eves, which was initiated by Barack Obama. Looking back at that, how we can expand that, and then maybe creating a pilot where I pitched this idea to some folks recently is, a pilot that can focus on underserved schools and partnering with Francesca Warren, who's one of our school board members who's supporting my campaign, and figuring out how we can get our kids to focus on the future and knowing that they have a future. Sometimes they can't see the light, and so we've got to bring them. We've got to bring them there. I'm doing that part-time right now. I'm working in the nonprofit space at a wonderful organization that focuses on underserved communities and finding scholarships for low-income students to go to college for free.
Gotcha. Excellent. Excellent. So you are truly the truth.
Thank you. When I worked at Morehouse in higher ed, faculty would say the truth is in the building.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Here we come to judge. Here come the judge.
Yep.
So let's stick to the public safety and criminal justice issue for a moment. The biggest area for county government oversight right now is with the jail and the sheriff's department. And I know that's a constitutional office. He's elected to sheriff. But the county commission has the purse and oversight, correct? So what are your thoughts about where we are with that?
It's really expensive to run the jail. It's a large percentage of the $1 billion budget. And so again, it is what I mentioned earlier. How many folks are in the jail that shouldn't be in the jail? Probably a large percentage of people. I don't want to rattle off a number and be incorrect.
Sure.
But I've heard different percentages, and it's fairly large. So again, it's utilizing the diversion center, but then it's also, I've also heard from other staff and even commissioners that we need to look at our court system. I feel like it may be, I don't know, we need to look at that and make sure that they have the funds in order to move things quickly through the court system. And when they're not moved quickly, folks just end up staying in jail longer.
Which increases the costs to the taxpayers.
All of that, right?
Yeah.
And so while it's not my job to manage folks, my job is to look at the budget, to listen to concerns from constituents and make sure that they get the services they need. But it also is to have good, warm relationships with everyone on the commission, in which I have relationships with everyone on the commission, and advocate for our youth, advocate for Black, Brown, children, adults, you name it, in order for us to get the resources and services we need.
Well, sticking to the criminal issues, how do you feel about the federal government coming down here and stealing ballots and election documentation? Because my name's on that list. I'm a little pissed off about it.
Oh, of course.
So what are your feelings about that?
It was horrible. So I ended up going by the Fulton Election Center the day that happened, and I got there a little too late. But I did just want to go there and see what was happening. Folks, what they are trying to do is to scare us from going to the polls. And so I want folks to know, hey, I voted today. I see that Rodney Littles voted today, and I know Rodney Butler is going to vote.
Yes,
during early voting. But we cannot be deterred. We need to keep pushing forward. And so it's unfortunate, but I know that Fulton County, they're fighting really hard to get those ballots back, those 700 boxes back, and whatever materials are in there, right? Whether they're ballots or what private information that they're holding from us. But I do also want people to know that our elections department, they're wonderful people who run that department. They take their jobs very seriously. And I have faith in our elections. And so we really need to just make sure that we have a blue wave that goes across this state during midterms and then also in November.
Yeah.
Rodney, it's your ball.
Okay, great, Rodney. Thanks for that. Well, Sojourner, let's talk housing.
Sure.
Rent is rising, as you know. Homeownership feels out of reach for so many folks, and longtime residents are getting pushed out of Fulton County. What's your strategy to protect affordability in Fulton County?
Thank you for that. I mentioned earlier that and I didn't go too much into this, but my background's also in affordable housing.
Go into the detail. Go into the background now. Come on.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I spent over 5 years working in affordable senior housing at a wonderful nonprofit in which I wore several hats when you're working in nonprofit. One of them was community outreach and engagement. And so another was marketing comms. But while I was at National Church Residences, I was also responsible for philanthropy, for fundraising, just at the local level. And so when COVID hit, I was there. And I had to make sure that our seniors that were living in high rises, Baptist Towers, Big Bethel Village, Trinity Towers, you name it, had resources. Our seniors were afraid to leave their homes. Think back to COVID. I mean, we were wiping down groceries. We were undressing in our garages, right? And so imagine being an 80-year-old living in a high rise and not knowing where their next meal was going to come from. And so I was fortunate and blessed to be in a position to be able to provide thousands of meals for our seniors. And these were meals that were delivered right at their doorsteps. So, senior housing, those are high rises. If the elevator works, amazing.
Right.
But if it doesn't, yikes. And so my background, working in housing was wonderful. Being a vessel, if you will, during that time to provide for seniors I'm so fortunate. And so I'm always going to advocate for affordable housing, whether it be senior housing, family housing. I'm going to make sure that people have a place to live. I participated in the point in time count here recently at Fulton County, in which I was able to go out with other community folks and interview folks who are living on the streets, listening to their stories. Everyone should be able to live in a home, everyone should have a place to call home. And so recently I advocated for that. Affordable housing was on the chopping block at the county level. Well, at least we thought so. But I went down there and spoke in front of the Board of Commissioners and shared my background in affordable housing and the importance of it. And so they did end up funding it through my advocacy and so many other people. But we need to provide more funding in affordable housing so people have places to live. Housing is healthcare.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. But since you kind of brought up the, seniors and the things that you've done, for our seniors, one thing I want you to kind of, if you can, be a little bit more specific and hone in on what support systems need to be strengthened for our seniors when it comes to home ownership and just being able to stay in their communities.
Sure. So we can, look at taxes, look at homestead that is available to our seniors, right? And making sure that those that information is known to our elders. It's the marketing and comms piece in the information sharing that we can strengthen. And while we do a wonderful job at the county, it may be different forms of enlightening people or sharing information rather than what's already being utilized.
Yeah,
I'm
and
even
it's,
thinking about door knockers. I put out 10,000 door knockers already. So maybe it's, the mail, but maybe it's placing something on someone's door. I mean, you just have to think outside of the box in order to engage with folks so they have the information that they need in order to apply for such programs.
well, I think your door knockers is excellent, because one thing that you've kind of honed in on throughout this conversation so far, which you are so right, which is a lot of this stuff is just a communications gap.
Hmm.
You people just need to know the information, and sometimes some of our elected officials act like they either on one of the two extremes. They act like the electorate don't know anything at all, or they move like the electorate knows too much, or knows way more than the electorate knows. So it looks like you've kind of hit that sweet spot in the middle, understanding that give them the information and stop trying to piecemeal who knows what and who doesn't know what, and just put out the information. So I think I think the door knockers and other things that you've talked about during this conversation, when it comes down to communication, is going to carry you a long way.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. And it's also being right in the community. So doing town halls, listening sessions. So it's engaging. It's the work that I've done for over 25 years. It's engaging with people so you can help them, right? It's not sitting in the ivory tower, but it's being on the ground, rolling up
Yes.
your sleeves and listening and doing the work that's needed to move things forward.
Yes. The community advocacy is going to play very well. Rodney, back to you, sir.
Wow, man. Seems like the calling is correct. She got a calling for this, Rodney.
Calling.
Man.
Thank you.
Well, I got a couple of audibles, but let me get to infrastructure. What do you mean by infrastructure, and what is your concern in that area?
Well, so you think about the county, right? The county has a ton of buildings. So you think
Mm-hmm.
about infrastructure there, but you also think about what the county is responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at North Fulton, we are responsible for water up in North
Mm-hmm.
Fulton,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the water system, but also infrastructure when I'm thinking about upgrading sewer system
In the South, particularly.
in the South. So we are responsible for sewer in the South. And so working with other cities and laying down sewer pipes, if you will. And
Mm-hmm.
so with the growth that's happening in South Fulton,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to need an advocate and someone who has relationships with other elected officials in order to get that work done, because it is extremely expensive.
Right.
And so that's what I think about when I think about infrastructure. I also think we go back to the jail, the Fulton
Right.
County Jail, and making it's already, they've approved to fund the jail, which is very expensive, and then also to build another facility on that same site.
Mm-hmm. I see. Gotcha.
Hmm.
Gotcha. Well, if we had less folks being arrested, there'd be less need to have all these prisons
I
and
agree.
beds, you know?
I agree. Yep.
There you
Which
go.
brings me to our young people.
Hmm.
You've worked with them obviously from your examples of your career so far. Um, I know that the county no longer runs parks,
Hmm.
but what area can the county have a positive impact on the youth in the county?
And so the county, we have a youth commission. It's program that we run, but the county can also provide jobs, and we can host job fairs for our students. So bringing partners together, and we can fund different initiatives. I'd like to look at recreation, and are there opportunities in which we can support young people there as well? Both of my sons are athletes, and it's heartbreaking when families come to wanting to sign up their sons or daughters to play sports, and it's too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
we both know that when students stay in activities, then they stay out of trouble.
Yes.
So, how can the county work to fund programs like that to help young people? But then, how can we also collaborate more with our Fulton County schools and
Mm-hmm.
APS schools?
Mm-hmm.
So, I have strong relationships there, and so I'd love to sit down with those elected officials, because those folks are elected as well. But it's looking at youth programming and really saving our sons and saving our daughters. I know that there are programs that are out there, and so it could even be possibly funding, providing more funding for those programs that are already there. The county funds has a lot of partners, nonprofit partners, and so where are there any gaps in funding for youth, and then where can we put more money in order to help our young people?
Well, that's our future.
It is. And they're wonderful partners. I can
Yes.
think of them,
Yes.
right, in which we can provide funding for in order for them to help us save our sons and daughters.
Yes, because that prison pipeline is something else.
It is, yep, it is.
I got an audible for you. The Fulton County Reparations Task Force has just completed the first phase of their work for the harm report. You're aware of that, I'm sure, because you've been following what's going on. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, the next commissioner that serves in that seat would have to agree to continue the funding for the repair report, which will come up with recommendations on how some repair could be made for the damages. They looked at the slavery, post-slavery, Jim Crow era impact. So my question to you, if you become the next commissioner, are you going to be supporting the continuation of the work of the task force to get to the repair? And will you be part of the reconciliation? The reconciliation basically means that the county commissioners have got to agree that there needs to be repair, but within the means that the county can handle and the methodology that's recommended. So that means you have to get your colleagues on the same page, regardless of whether they're across the aisle, North Fulton, Mid Fulton. Reconciliation means acknowledging the harm and agreeing to work on repair.
For sure. Most definitely. I would definitely advocate for that. I'd be a champion in that work. My background, I went to undergrad at Clark. I mentioned that earlier. And I studied African American studies at the undergraduate level. I believe I even have a minor in Black studies. I took so many courses.
Yeah.
And I mentioned earlier my dad, Dr. Manning Marable, who cared deeply about Black folks in the diaspora. Right. And so I would most definitely champion and be a supporter and work alongside you all on that great work that you have already done and will continue to do as I'm going to be your next commissioner.
You hear that, Rodney? She's brave. She
Truth,
is
Rodney,
brave.
truth it's nothing without truth and reconciliation. The key word being truth.
Yes,
we
sir.
might as well just say it. Just start saying it out loud.
Put it in the
And
universe.
thank you again for that wonderful work that you and the team are doing, Rodney Littles. Thank you.
No problem.
Much needed.
Well, Rodney?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sojourner, I'm going to, we've pretty much, finished the main things that we want to talk to you about, the main topics, the main categories that we know that, the citizens of South Fulton and Fulton County at large is, that they're concerned with. But I'm going to do something real quick before we let the folks know how they can, support your campaign and volunteer and do all the things that they need to do. I'm going to do something that Rodney really likes this, so I said I'm going to do it again, and that's a lightning round. I'm going to do a quick lightning round with you, and I'll start right now. And that is, the first question is, in one word, describe your leadership style.
Caring.
Okay. The biggest challenge facing Fulton County.
Healthcare access.
Great. Okay. A book or influence that shaped your thinking.
Black Leadership by my dad, Dr. Manning Marable.
Right.
Great answer. Wow. Great
Yes.
answer. The last one is one thing you want every Black man listening to do after this episode.
Give yourself a hug.
Oh, wow.
You matter.
Yes.
And we support you. And we
Deep.
love you.
Deep. Sojourner, look, this has been a real conversation. But before we wrap up, tell the people where they can learn more about your campaign and how they can support you, sister.
Thank you, Rodney Littles, Rodney Butler. Thank you so much for having me on the Black Man's Roundtable today.
Absolutely.
To learn more about my campaign for Fulton County Commissioner District 5, you can visit me online at electsojourner.com. You can also follow me on various platforms. Instagram is one of them at electsojourner. Again, I am deeply grateful to have the opportunity to be here today. Thank you both so much. And thank you all for listening. We are right now facing a lot of challenges. And so we need to support one another and have each other's back in all things. And I am that person that will have your back. And I have proven to do so for over 30 years. So thank you.
Absolutely.
She,
And look,
she must have started as a kid out of the cradle. What are you talking about? 30 years. Come on.
I'm 47.
Oh, get out of here.
But as y'all know, black don't crack.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I take
That's
it.
right.
I take
That's
it.
right. That's right. And look, we are definitely looking forward to having you to come back on the Black Man's Roundtable as the District 5 Commissioner there in Fulton County. And before we let her go, Rodney, is there any parting words that you want to say before we do our post? Well, we got about 15, 20 minutes or so, Rodney, to do a post-analysis conversation on this.
I want to thank Sojourner for joining us tonight. It's been great to have her on the platform. I've had the opportunity to watch her over the last 4 or 5 years in the community. Been in a lot of rooms together. Folks talk to me about her, and it's all good. And I've got an opportunity to see what her platform is about. And thank you so much for putting yourself out there. I know it's not easy being a candidate for public service. Rodney B knows the story. It's tough having, to be a candidate. So we appreciate your sacrifice and your willingness to serve. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, both.
And so, Sojourner Marable Grimmett, we will see you in them streets. And look, flip some tables out there. Flip some tables. We know you can do it.
I'm already
Thank you.
flipping them.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
God bless you. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Hello, I'm Vince Williams, and I am telling you, I am urging you, I am pleading with you to vote Sojourner Marable Grimmett, Board of Commissioners. Sojourner is someone who has a heart for God's people. Sojourner brings with her integrity, but also leadership skills beyond anything you could imagine. She will bring back civility when it comes to working together with the Board of Commissioners. And that is what we need right now. We don't need a reality TV show. We need leadership. And Sojourner brings the calm, but also the leadership acumen that is needed.
Rodney
Right,
B.
Rodney. Yeah, absolutely, man. I guess I'm going to say it. Welcome to our post-conversation analysis of the candidate Sojourner. So look, Rodney, again, man, again, appreciate the hard work that you do to vet, the candidates, to go out there, like we say, in them suites, in them streets, to actually look at who we want to bring on this platform, because, we don't bring everybody here. We get a lot of folks we just don't have the time because, we're not specifically a political show. As a matter of fact, the political pieces are not what bring us most of our viewers. Correct. It's us getting down in the dirty talking about black folks stuff, and so particularly black men stuff. So Rodney, look, let's kick off this post-analysis conversation. Is there anything that you wanted to hone in on? Let you go first. Hone in on that you think that our audience really need to go into the weeds a little bit more with Sojourner? Yes, sir.
She's not a politician, bro.
No, sir, not at all.
She ain't a politician. She's been around it. She's worked in it. She's not a politician, bro. She's a change maker. That's a big difference.
She's a community organizer, kind of an advocate.
And she was modest talking about her dad, and her mom. I met her mom, but she comes from good stock, bro.
Yes, sir.
You feel? So it's in her DNA to want to serve. it's not something she has to say, I'm gonna do. She has
Right.
the background to understand what the customer wants and needs. And if she doesn't know it, she knows how to go find out. But more
Yes.
importantly, Rodney, solving problems, bro. That's very important of a public servant, being able to solve people's problems. And she's done that on the ground without the spotlight, without the write-ups, getting the work done. So that's what impressed me most out of listening and questioning her about those issues that she so strongly feels that she needs to impact.
Yeah, and she doesn't have this ego that you see in so many people running for elected office locally or higher, and she's definitely comes off as a servant leader, and so that's definitely a plus. One of the things that I wrote down here is when I talked to her about her affordable housing, and she talked about her background in affordable housing in the nonprofit arena. And so it's just about every single area that we talked about with her. It was something that she was already doing or had done and maybe even planned to do, but planned to do was the least amount because she had either already done it or doing it right now. And but going back to the affordable housing, she's done the work, Rodney.
Yeah.
She's done the work, so therefore she understands how to help people better. I tell people all the time that I've learned the most in my life. I've literally learned the most in my life. That's why we say, Rodney, we in them suites and them streets. Those suites were the ivory towers of college at 4 degrees. I'm very proud of them. But what I will say is this right here is where I've learned the most has been out there in them streets, helping folks. When you help someone, you learn so much more than you would ever learn inside of a classroom or inside of a building somewhere. And so there are things that I'll never probably use in my lifetime that I know a lot about. And people will say, man, how do you know so much about this when you don't even, it's like, because I help people. When you help people, all of a sudden you learn about, WIC and all these other services and different things because you're helping someone. So I say that to say that Sojourner has been out there helping people. So therefore, even though she may not utilize some of the services that she's been helping people on, the sister knows about those services and she knows how, and she understands them, and she knows how to talk to the people in order to help someone else or someone get those services.
And then the other thing that would press me, Rodney, was relationships. In life, to get things done, it's all about relationships. Who you know, and what they know about you, and what they're willing to even listen to you talk or return your phone call. I think she's established relationships over her 47 years, she says. She did have a birthday just recently.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. The fact that she worked in the chairman's office during the John Eves administration says a whole lot. She's seen it from the inside. So sitting on the commission, after seeing it from the inside, you have a different perspective than somebody coming in from Chicago or out west somewhere. You want to be a county commissioner and just got here, trying to get clicks on their social media. This sister has been in the streets, in the suites, and knows what tables to turn.
Yes, sir. And speaking of relationships, Rodney, I know people may not, or some people may not put a lot of stock into this. I personally put a lot of stock into this, which is the relationships, the family relationships. And what I mean by that is her husband, right? And she talked about how, I think she said she met her husband at Clark, Atlanta, I believe, at 18, I think she said, if I remember correctly. And, no, they probably didn't get married right away, but she stuck with, look, there's no way you can be married to someone that long. And well, I'm not going to say there's no way, but it's highly unlikely that you're married to someone that long and you have all kind of issues and problems, right?
Well put.
You know what I'm saying, right? And sometimes I think we don't put enough emphasis on relationships. But look, we have a person in the White House right now. Right?
Yes, sir.
That's the opposite of who she is, right?
Amen.
You've been in all these different relationships or whatever, 5 different whatever, 5 different or 5 kids by 3 women, whatever it is. And I'm not saying that is the primary reason that this guy is kind of off the charts or whatever, but I would say it's one of the reasons. And so I do put stock into that. And she is a middle-aged woman who has been with her husband. She talks about her husband, the relationship that she has with her parents, her great father out there. I loved her answer about her book, the favorite book. And she says, my dad. And that is someone who is very sure of herself and someone who does not more than likely have to deal with all kinds of self-imaging problems and issues. She even talked about, Rodney, if you remember, if I got it correctly, how she was out in, what was it, Boulder, Colorado, or somewhere out there. Out in Boulder, Colorado, with all these non-melanated folks. As a young person, she said, well, Dad, where are the melanated folks? Where are the black folks? And her dad said, baby, we about to move to Atlanta. That's it. You understand what I'm saying? That stuff right there. I know that people just want to say, well, she's not, when it comes down to this issue or that issue, I'm not in line with her. Well, look, Rodney, what I want to remind people is that the definition, the basic definition of a politician is someone who is willing to compromise, believe, or what their positions are. Her personal life, her relationship with her mother and her father, her parents, her husband, her sons, and understanding the importance of black men. She is in a house full of men. I used to say, because I don't have a son, I just have daughters and I have my wife. And so I used to tease that, hey, if I come home and the toilet seat is up, I'm like, okay, what's going what's going on?
Funny,
I'm the only dude.
Right.
So guess what? She's the opposite. She's the opposite of that. So she understands this audience. She understands the 66% of this audience, which are men, and probably 99% of those men are black men. So this sister knows, she knows us, and that's important, because right now black men need and we need a friend, bro. We need an advocate. We need someone who understands us other than just us, other than just black men, Rodney.
That's a great point, bro, because, there are a lot of sisters running for office all over the place, nationwide. And so I think it's important that our audience of our men understand that's not a negative, as long as they understand the kind of responsibility they have for looking out for the family, which includes black men. So I don't want my brothers to say, well, I can't vote for her because she's a woman. No, that's not the issue. The issue is, like you said, what's her relationship with men?
With men.
With black men.
Her father, her sons, her husband.
Yes.
She nailed it.
Yes. So that should be the litmus test when my brothers go to the polls. Not just because they got a skirt on and they're a woman. Be specific.
Right. Well, Got to be specific.
You got to be specific these days. I want them to understand that that's why we don't have just black men on the program, because we have to deal with both sides of the aisle, if you will. And it's important that we bridge that gap, as you say, in dealing with this issue, particularly when it comes to politics. So I thought that was a good point that you raised, Rodney. Excellent point.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. And when you talked about that there are a lot of women who are running for office throughout the country, not just here locally. Look, don't listen. What I'm saying to you, brothers, don't be afraid to either ask the question or do your research. Look into their background with black men specifically, because we have different needs and we have different, things that we need for someone to think about when they're thinking about policy in these chambers of policy making. And so I understand, Rodney, you and I have talked about it with Kamala Harris, in that a lot of brothers probably didn't feel that she understood black men. Well, Kamala Harris, God bless her, but her relationship with her father was not the same relationship that we're talking about with Sojourner, right? And she talked a lot about her aunts and those people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm glad she had a village of women around her and that kind of thing. And obviously she didn't have children. People obviously didn't like who she was married to and all that kind of, some people and all of that. But what I'm saying is that this is not Kamala Harris. If those were your issues, brother,
right? If
is what
those
I'm
were
saying.
your issues,
If those were your issues, which
yes.
I'm just going to leave it at that. Maybe I'm gonna just leave it at that. But if those were your issues with Kamala Harris, brother, you don't have those issues here locally with Sojourner,
right?
Because if you just want to find some other reason to not support this young lady, then just be truthful about it. Stand in it, stand on it. But this is a sister. This is a brother's sister, is what I'm trying to say.
She got a twin brother, so you know what I mean?
And look, you see what I'm saying? Didn't even bring that up. Her twin brother.
Yeah,
this woman is very close to black men, and I have to bring that up because this is the Black Man's Roundtable.
Amen.
Rodney and I know that 66% of the people who follow, this platform, and it's even higher when you talk about streaming.
Right.
Nothing is under 66% when it comes to black men and our platform, no matter what the medium is. And so we need for you to know, and we want for you to be comfortable with saying, what is her relationship with black men? Because like Rodney said, there are a lot of women who are running across this country, in Fulton County, throughout the metro Atlanta area.
That's right.
There are a lot of women who are running, but brother, I ask you to do this. Peel back the skin of the onion and see what's their relationship with us.
Right.
With black men.
That's right.
Now, I'm not saying let that be your only reason for voting for them.
No,
but I tell you what,
point.
It's important. We all base who we, want supporting us or like to be around or whatever based on relationships. And so I'm just saying, don't be afraid to look at that black man aspect, and don't let nobody tell you any different.
Amen. Amen. Well, you know that the oppressor has worked very hard to divide us, to break up our families, our family units, put our men in jail, and now have our women now too, to make it very difficult for us to be together. It's almost reminiscent to slavery era, where they sold off the kids to other plantations and broke up the families, right, and sold them off to other plantations. So it's kind of like a mental issue now with us, and we have to get over that. We have to get over that. It's bigger than this, Rodney. We have to come together. We have to understand that in unity there's strength, and that the reason that there's an attack on us right now from the body politic of the extreme right is that they don't want to see us thrive.
Yes,
and
sir.
they know the best way to do that is to keep the women and the men fighting with each other, and the men fighting and killing each other. This is not the game plan for our survival for the future. And if you can't pick it up, you look at what the Justice Department is doing right now, Rodney, with the Southern Poverty Law Center, criminal accusations of misappropriation funds and funding white supremacists and white extremist groups. Bro, I got to tell you, it's brilliant. The strategy is brilliant for the audience that buys that BS.
Yep.
But it's
brilliant.
It's reaching way beyond any reality. And it's another distraction, Rodney, as you said earlier. Chaos, flood the zone, right, bro?
Flood the zone.
So that's all this is. So my brothers that are out there, my sisters that are out there, now's the time that we have to look seriously at our survival in this country. We're at a crossing point right now. If you believe that you're okay sitting home, sitting back, not coming out to vote, not voicing your opinion where in the public square it needs to be voiced, then you're missing the boat, and it's going to pull out and you're not going to be on it, because this is where we are right now in this country. We're at a crossroads right now, and we have to make a decision. But we're going to look out for the future of our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren. Then we need to come together right now and eliminate the division that exists, which is just orchestrated by the oppressor.
Yes, sir, Rodney. And as of the airing, the dropping of this episode, it's been 3 days. It's been 3 days since early voting has started. Okay.
Correct.
As of the dropping of this episode. So look, but right now I want to just hone in on one thing that you talked about when you talked about your first word you used was that they don't want us to strive. Then a
Correct.
little bit later on, you used the sentence and you said, we have to learn, we have to survive.
Yes,
And
sir.
so what I want, those two words are so important to me because, Rodney, they want for us, Black men out there, they want for us to survive and not strive. And when
Correct.
you put everything that Rodney said together, that's exactly what they want. And one other thing I want to say, Rodney, I thought about this a few days ago, maybe a week and a half or so ago,
Mhm.
is that the division of Black men, Black women, they've done that since day one of bringing us,
Yes, sir.
into this space.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that is now known as the United States, was be celebrating, 250 years here in July.
Yes, sir.
Well, at the end of the day, even when we talk, brothers, here's what we got to understand. Even when we talk about the lynching of Black men,
Yes, sir.
after slavery, of course, they were not going to
Yes,
lynch
sir.
us while we were their property because
No, 'cause
who's going
they put you to work, bro.
They're going to put you to work. They're not going to throw away what you
No,
bought,
no.
and so you're not going to damage what
That's
you bought.
right.
And so, but after 86, when slavery was abolished or whatever, right, and the lynchings, even when we talk about the lynchings, brother,
Yes,
even
sir.
when we're talking about the lynching, we talk about Black men, or we think more about Black men being lynched, but there were just as many Black women who were lynched
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank you.
But not only that, when we talk about lynching, even when we talk about the pain and the suffering that the Black man had to go through, but we also need to think about what was left behind, that
Yes,
woman
sir.
and those children.
Yes,
So what
sir.
I'm saying to you is that we need to think about the journey of both. The journey of both in this country of Black men and Black women, and then we will be able to reconcile, and then we will be able to really not have these hangups with one another, because the only person who's benefiting from the hangups and the separation, the division, like Rodney said, from Black men and Black women, the only people that are benefiting from that are those very, very rich white men at the top of everything. They are benefiting from this. So
Correct.
look, I just wanted to say that because I know that it is so hard for some of us brothers to actually, be able to look at Black women who are running for office, and we don't need to get like our non-melanated brothers out there
No.
who they haven't been through
Right.
with their women. They haven't been through the trials and tribulations that we have been through since before
That's right.
1619 in this space. They haven't been through what we've been through
Correct.
with their women. So we don't need to do what they do, and we don't need to look at
Right.
our women the way that they look at maybe their women.
Correct.
So I just wanted to say that, Rodney,
Good
because I'm basically kind of getting, sick and tired of that whole notion of women and what they can and cannot do. Yes, this space was created. I created this space called the Black Man's Roundtable because I understood that our brothers were just pushed
Yes, sir.
into the shadows.
Yes, sir.
And this podcast were to do our little part to bring brothers back out of the shadows and give them
Yes,
a
sir.
voice. But we cannot do it, brothers, without our women. We
Yes,
have
sir.
to have them. They understand us. They've learned that they have made a few mistakes here and there over especially the last, let's say, 60 years.
Mhm.
They've learned that, you know what? Maybe we bought off into some of the crap ourselves when it come down to our Black men. But guess what? They usually come back around. May not have ever taken this long, but also the drive to keep us separated has never ever been this strong.
That's
Right?
correct.
To
Rodney.
separate and divide us,
That's
because there
correct.
was no need to worry about doing that
No.
so much
No.
during slavery, because it just
Correct.
you just snatched the families away. Well, you can't do that, so now you need to find innovative ways to keep brothers and sisters divided. So, Rodney, again, brother, thank you for co-hosting with me, man, and doing this post-analysis and getting to the questions that needed to be asked. And we don't do the gotcha stuff on here. We don't bring people on here to do that.
No.
Go somewhere else with that stuff. We're not with that. We're not with the drama or none of that.
Mm-mm.
We just want to make sure people understand and know and get to know these candidates.
That's
and
right.
get to understand who they're voting for.
Yes,
so
sir.
Rodney, again, as always, brother, I appreciate you. Okay.
I did on my brother, Black Man's Roundtable, flipping tables.
Absolutely, brother. And look, with that, catch the Black Man's Roundtable podcast the third Thursday of the month. Also, catch the Black Man's Roundtable Roundup with Rodney and Rodney the second Thursday of the month. And the Black Man's Roundtable Local Lookout with Rodney and Bobby the first Thursday of the month. All episodes drop at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And until next time, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. Peace.
Peace.
Peace, brother. Hey, family. If you like what you saw, visit our website at blackmansroundtable.com for more information or to check out more content. Until next time, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. Peace.
Woke up to the sound of the struggle, echoes loud in the street. Generations of pain in the rhythm, blood and tears in the beat. From the corners to the courtrooms, we decipher the code. Every word that we speak is a chapter, every step is a road. They try to silence the story, rewrite the pages in gold. But the truth don't need no filter, the truth don't need no hope.
This is the anthem, the voice of the unheard. Standing tall in the fire, speaking life with each word. From the roots to the branches, we rise through the pain. Black Man's Roundtable, we're breaking the chain.
Microphone in my hand like a weapon, wisdom passed down through the ages. Every topic we tackle, every fight on these stages. They say we're too loud when we whisper, too proud when we kneel. But the power in our voices is the power that's real.
This is the anthem, the voice of the unheard. Standing tall in the fire, speaking life with each word. From the roots to the branches, we rise to the pain. Black Man's Roundtable, we're breaking the chain. This is the anthem, the voice of the unheard. Standing tall in the fire, speaking life with each word. On the roots to the branches, we rise through the pain. Black Man's Roundtable, we're breaking the chains.
Unapologetically black. We'll see you in them suites and them streets where we're flipping tables like Jesus.
We're breaking the chains.